Hi, Hillary. Okay, this is a really good example, and I really enjoyed reading your analysis here. So, to me, I think that the amazing thing about this visually is the colors. I mean, the colors just pop right off the page, almost to the point where I had to give this a second look because I thought maybe this was a montage, a photo montage at first, but upon closer examination, clearly it's not. But at first, I mean, I think the depth, the dimension, specifically right down through here, the dimension here, the volume and the depth created right through here is really super intense. And I for a second I was like, what is that, a photograph? And then I had to really look. So at first I thought it was a montage of using photographic techniques, but it's not. It's all illustrative. And I think the amazing thing here is the color. Now, there's a lot going on here, quite a bit. There is definitely a visual focal point. We see that right here. So apparently the story has to do with something that's going on right here. But we can see so many other things going on. This almost reminds me of a technique that was used in the 70s and late 60s. I'm sorry, specifically the 60s and early 70s, called psychedelic art. And one of the foundational theoretical underpinnings of that style was to keep the composition busy enough and to use such vibrant colors to actually keep the viewer in and try to trap the viewer in the composition as long as possible. And we can see that. Let me just do I'm going to do something here real quick. I'm going to just do a quick image search so you can see psychedelic art. Let's go ahead and hopefully hopefully we'll get some original images from the 60s. Clearly that's Peter Max. Yeah, that is definitely, is that Peter Max? Yeah, definitely that's Peter Max. But so, and he was a psychedelic artist, and we can clearly see there's so much going on here that the artist's intent here, we can see it in other areas too. I'm trying to find an actual, not a reproduction, but actual 60s. That looks like, well, anyways, we'll use that example. The idea here is to keep the viewer in the composition, so the viewer just doesn't want to leave the composition. And this clearly attains that goal. I mean, there's so much going on that we can clearly just peruse this for a while before we even start thinking about what it means. We're just kind of fascinated with all the little different things that are going on. And I think that technique, to a great extent, was used in this particular composition as well. Really nice illustrative style over here. We got these cups, which they look like teacups, definitely, right? But for some, they're kind of disguised as flour, as parts of the flower. So that's really interesting right here. And another neat thing about this is we've got this kind of juxtaposition of different worlds. So for example, we got flight here with the moths, and then we've also got land. So we've got air, we've got land depicted by the flowers and some of the bugs and some of the other foliage. But then we also got sea, depicted by the blue background, kind of the patterns indicating water, and then the fish right here. So it's really a neat juxtaposition of three different worlds, and I think it's fascinating. So good choice. So my question to you is this, and if you could just shoot me a quick response, address this. Do you think that this is okay, that it's not, that there's so much going on in it? And if with so much going on, what do you think the artist's intent is here? What is the artist trying to do by showing all of these different elements at the same time and kind of fooling the eye into thinking some things are not what they actually are? What do you think he's trying to say, or she's trying to say, in this particular case? And is it okay, or should illustration be very, very obvious as to what the intent is to communicate a value? So if you could just kind of contemplate that, shoot me a quick response. I'm really interested to know what your reactions are there. All right, fantastic job. Thank you so much for sharing.